Hello and welcome to another edition of the Hitting the Hardwood Podcast, your home for all the latest Minnesota Lynx and WNBA news, analysis, and coverage. I'm your host, Mitchell Hansen, and it's almost break time. We are here at the end of August, the last full week of August. For those Minnesota State Fair lovers, it is Minnesota State Fair time. So go get yourself some pickle pizza and cheese curds and big fat bacon, and enjoy the Minnesota State Fair. Because we will also not have really any WNBA action, or we won't have any WNBA action over the course of that time, with the FIBA World Cup break taking place here at the end of August, actually August 31st, and running through the first 2 weeks of September. We'll have a little bit of a break in action, but we're already here. It's break time. It's hard to believe it's break time. It's hard to believe that we only have about a handful of games left here in the regular season. The one thing that has not changed, however, is the Minnesota Lynx remain at the top of the WNBA standings. They will get the number one seed, just a matter of when. It's been a remarkable season for Cheryl Reeve and company. It's been an impressive season, one that a lot of people did not expect. I will admit that I did not expect it. I predicted at the beginning of the season they'd make the playoffs and lose in the first round. So I hope I'm very, very wrong. And that is the only time I'm okay with being completely wrong. So the Lynx have been, right at the top all year long. Olivia Miles continues to impress. She is, I think, right behind A'ja Wilson in the MVP talks. I still think, if I had to guess, I still think A'ja Wilson wins it. But it is impressive nonetheless that a rookie is in consideration for the MVP award. And that speaks to the what Olivia Miles has been able to do this year and what the Lynx have been able to do as well. Speaking of the break, it starts August 31st, runs through September 16th. So about 2.5 weeks where there will be no WNBA action as the World Cup does take place overseas. At Hitting the Hardwood, you will find a daily-ish roundup. It will be, I say that it will have everything, all the games and all the players and where they're playing, who they're playing for. That will all be in one location, but we will update that regularly so that you are up to date with where the players are playing, how they're doing, when they're playing next, and so on. So you will find that soon at Hitting the Hardwood, hittingthehardwood.com. And we will regularly update that as the games take place and as the games conclude. Speaking of break time and getting towards the end of the year, we now know what the playoff picture will look like, and that being just the 8 teams that will comprise the WNBA playoffs. That being Minnesota, Golden State, Las Vegas, Atlanta, Indiana, New York, Washington, and Dallas. We have the last probably 5-6 games for most of the teams. Basically, that lasts like 2 weeks of the regular season, week and a half or so after break, will be very key to deciding, where the teams are seated, and who the first round opponents will be in the postseason. But as of now, if the playoffs started today, Minnesota would host Dallas in the first round, and then would play the winner of Atlanta, Indiana in the second round. Like I said, there's a lot that will change yet. There's a lot yet to be decided. So to kind of take that with a grain of salt here as we progress through the rest of the regular season once the break concludes. But I break all of that down here with our next guest, I should say the only guest. I only have one guest. I don't have multiple guests here this week, so I don't know why I said the next guest. But our lovely guest that we have on the podcast this week is none other than my friend, colleague at Hitting the Hardwood, Andrew Dukowitz. You know him because he does everything, and he is everywhere. He does the Missing Lynx podcast. He does the Missing Wolves podcast. He covers the Lynx and Wolves for SI and zone coverage. And he has 3 dogs, which he talks about, and he is married. And I am exhausted just thinking about all he does. But I respect the hell out of it, and I respect the hell out of Andrew. So I appreciate Andrew for taking the time out of his day, taking the time out of his own podcast schedule, his own content schedule, to join us here on Hitting the Hardwood and the Hitting the Hardwood podcast. So without further ado, let's jump right into the podcast with Andrew Dukowitz, the man that never sleeps. I don't know if you actually know what a sleep schedule is like or what it looks like, but Andrew Dukowitz, how are you doing? Are you're surviving?
I am surviving. There's not a Lynx game until Sunday, so I think I even hit like a REM cycle last night. But yeah, man, happy to be here. Nice to be on the flagship show, and my dogs will be routinely barking through this.
That's
So
okay. Mine is
uh,
currently right behind me, and he might be snoring. I can't really tell, but he is passed out. So I will take that, and I am jealous. But the life of being a dog dad, right?
exactly.
Uh,
Life of being a dog dad to one dog that needs to be outside at all times. One dog that has separation anxiety when he isn't with his sisters,
yeah.
and the other dog that would rather die than go outside. Yeah, anything other than perfectly climate weather.
Uh,
It leads to loud afternoons.
yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Well, you'll have about coming up here, and we'll talk about this, but you'll have about 2.5 weeks to take them outside, to walk them more. Maybe, well, I don't know if you maybe you walk them a lot now already, but spend some time not thinking, looking, and watching basketball with the upcoming FIBA World Cup break. Before we get to that, I do want to talk about that a little bit, but I want to talk first about the Lynx and kind of the inevitable at this point of them getting the number one seed. Um, just what I guess there's a couple questions I have off of this is A, did you expect maybe around halfway through the year that there would be some sort of drop off? Or, maybe not necessarily when Fee came back, because I don't know if you can drop off when you get an MVP caliber player back, but did you expect some sort of drop off? And do you think that we saw any resemblance of that from how this team started the year to where they're at now? Because it is impressive. I will admit I expected them to drop off and maybe not get the number one seed, maybe be,
Mhm.
number two. I thought, the teams Golden State and Las Vegas behind them, I thought they were going to make a push and kind of overtake that one seed, and maybe the Lynx would kind of come back down from their hot start. But that hasn't been the case. What has been your viewpoint on what you've seen?
Yeah, I guess I think they did have a drop off.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that entire month of July and the first couple, well, maybe the first game or two in August was their version of a drop off. I mean, you look at their post All-Star schedule where the first 8 out of 10 games playing against kind of bottom feeders. You look at like the two Temple games, the two Portland games, the two games against Connecticut,
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of look at this of like they should have been beating the brakes off of a lot of those teams, but they didn't. They just kind of hung on to quite a few of them and won in the fourth quarter or pulled away. And to me, that was the drop off. Was I
Yeah.
think teams started to figure things out. I think teams at least figured out how to attack this defense or take advantage of, like Liv isn't the most locked in every position. How do you take advantage of her? How do you get her off ball and make that work?
Mm-hmm.
Tosh is 34. She's awesome, but how do you take advantage of her age and size? And I think some of those bottom dwellers kind of did figure that out of
Mm-hmm.
like, this is how we can attack them and get a chance. The thing that I don't think has dropped off at all is the offense. And
Yeah.
that has been surprising to me. I thought for sure, Liv comes into league, kind of sets the league on fire. I thought for sure teams would figure out by now how to give her issues,
Mm-hmm.
which credit to the Valkyries. Her two worst games of the season were both against them. Kind of that weird hybrid zone man
Mm-hmm.
switching thing that they have been doing in both of those games seemed to really bother her. I don't anticipate that to be the case, moving forward. She seems to supercomputer learn and figure those things out. But like the fact that their offense is just continuing to get better week after week, month after month. Fee comes back. She, up until that Golden State game, had the best net rating in basketball for
Mm-hmm.
people that have played more minutes than her. Like, that has been shocking
Mm-hmm.
because you look back at the last couple of years, like the offense was kind of the thing that you would be like, when they hit that drive spell, they almost lose a game just because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this year, it's been more of, the defense. I think teams figured stuff out. Now it's, now we're at a point where there's 5 games left, and you look and they, double digit win against the Aces, double digit win against Dallas. They looked pretty good against Indiana defensively. They have the double digit win against Golden State. Like, it seems like the defense has kind of figured themselves out, but yeah, it's definitely been a weird season. I think it ended up being very lucky that when they started to have their kind of down swoon, you're playing Connecticut and Toronto.
Yeah, that is a good point. I do, the thing that kind of stood out to me, one of the things that you had just talked about was the drop off with Liv, and I guess the lack thereof, the drop off
Mm-hmm.
with Liv, especially when it comes to a rookie. Usually you see about halfway through, maybe even like a third of the way through the season, you see a little bit of a drop off because teams start scouting for that player. They start, kind of figuring that player out, like you were talking about. That's a hard thing for a rookie to navigate, and that's a hard thing for a rookie to overcome as a rookie. That's something you learn as you get into the WNBA, and that's maybe the one of the most impressive things that I've seen is that she has not been able to, or she has not, seen a drop off, it with the exception of really, those 2 games that you mentioned against Golden State. But that to me is the most, out of everything that we've seen, is the most impressive to me. And we won't talk about also the fact that at our preseason prediction, that I predicted the Lynx would lose in the first round. So we won't talk about that part, but
I had them going to the finals.
You
The
did.
6 seed going to the finals. I feel pretty good about this.
You did.
The 6 seed vastly underestimated, but
I don't know if any of us, really. I don't know if anybody expected this type of performance. I mean, 31-8 with, however many games are left. Heading into the World Cup break too. It's pretty impressive, and like I said, they'll end up locking up the number 1 seed. It's just a matter of when. They could have done it against Golden State, but now it's just going to be delayed just a little bit longer. But it'll happen, and in this 3 straight years of 30+ wins, that's pretty damn impressive. And they're gonna, they're gonna push what they did last year at 34-4 or 34-10. They'll threaten that this year as well. So Cheryl Reeve, she just keeps doing it year after year.
It is a little obnoxious though, isn't it? Like,
it kind of is.
Like, I plan on, for zone coverage at some point over FIBA, doing a piece on just, I mean, Court said they were on top, and that entire media room laughed at her.
Yeah.
Like, Ashley Moore asked her, and she was like, "We're on top. Like, until someone dethrones us, like, this is where we're at."
Yeah.
And then in training camp, I asked again of like, "Really? Like, on top?" And she was like, "Yeah, it's ours."
Yeah.
Then like 10 games in, I was like, "Really? Like, on top?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're the best team in the league."
Yeah.
And I mean, they're going to probably get the 1 seed by 4 or 5 games. That's insane. You look at the Vegas odds; they've minus odds to win the championship. Like,
yeah, that's
wild.
You have over a 50% chance betting odds wise to win the title. That just doesn't happen. Like, that's insane. But I mean, and we say this and we talk about this, and like, yes, the regular season is important, but Cheryl Reeve will tell you, Courtney Williams will tell you, anybody will tell you, it has nothing, or once the postseason comes, the regular season is behind you, and you got to show up, and that's something they haven't done the last 2 years. Controversy came up out 2 years ago, whatever, in the finals, but that's something they haven't done since 2017. You got to get over that hump. You got to get over, you can have all the success you want during the regular season, but if you don't ultimately, get across the finish line, it doesn't really matter too much. So hopefully we'll see this season be a little different in that regard.
It feels like this year they don't have an excuse.
Yeah.
Like 2024, they were kind of like the darling team. Like, I don't think people expected them to make that run, even like after the Olympic break where they were just rattling off wins. I think people were still going like, well, they haven't been there before.
Mm-hmm.
They get to the finals, and I mean, Cheryl said it after the game, that bleep was stolen from us. Like, you can point at that and be like, okay, they got gypped out of a title. last year, even going into the playoffs, Fee misses all that time with the ankle. There's never really like great updates on like how injured she was or like how bad that was. Dejanay blows out her shoulder, misses the end of the season, then blows out her foot. Lan was dealing with back stuff. Courtney, I think, was dealing with like wrist stuff. Like even going into the playoffs, I think there was this might not work. Like if they lose, injuries caught up with them. This year, I feel like there isn't really an excuse this year. No. Like unless something catastrophic happens.
Yeah.
I think this will be the year if they don't get it done. It's pretty rightful. It's pretty right to like look around and be like, what gives? Like what's the reasoning this year that you guys were the best and fell short, which is different. Yeah, I feel like it'll be a different level of accountability.
Yeah, and I know you've talked about this, and I wrote a piece at Hitting the Hardwood too about this too. This team feels different than what it has the last 2 years, and to me, it feels like the 2017 season. You go into games and you expect the Lynx to win. There's not like they just go about their business. They're a team that they expect to win every single game. They dominate both sides of the ball. And they ultimately crossed the finish line that year. But it felt different that year, and it feels different this year too. It's kind of I'm not saying that the star power is the same as the 2017 team because that's not the case, but just the different skill set and dynamics of this team, it is very similar to 2017. Now like I said, we'll see what happens in the postseason, but it has a very different feeling from even last year of this team that we have right now. And you think it would have been the opposite because of how different this team is and how many different people or players and faces are on this team. You thought you would think it would be different in the regard that you're like, really, are they going to do this? But no, it feels completely different when you see this team. You see them. How they carry themselves, how Cheryl talks about the team. She's just relaxed, which never happens with Cheryl. And it's different. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just different. But
it is like it just to like hammer that point home. Like last year, and I do this typically with the Wolves. I haven't really done it with the Lynx a lot this season, but like I'll just type in like Courtney Williams on and then loss in my own like search bar, and it'll bring up all of the videos or posts that I've had that have like what I've tweeted or videos that Court has said about losses or like Cheryl. And it's just like even how they respond to losses is just different. Like the shoot around videos are just different. Like they feel last year, it felt like an urgency. And I think that urgency was because a lot of them knew they weren't going to be back here. So it was almost like this, like, we have to get it done. Whereas this year, it's just like this relaxed profession. I know like Tosh and Mac and Liv call themselves hoopers all the time, but like it does just feel like that, this relaxed, like we're better. We know we're better. We're going to go out there and hoop and we're going to win the championship. Whereas last year, it really just had this tenseness to it.
Yeah. And I wonder too if it's because, I mean, this team has been through it the last 2 years. Now it's not the complete team that we've seen the last 2 years, but then you get a player like Tosh that comes in that she's battle tested. She's been there, done that. Really, the only player that hasn't really experienced any of this is arguably the best player on the team this year is Olivia Miles, and that we'll see how she handles that in the playoffs and how she handles that pressure and just the kind of the chess match that is a playoff series. But yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it. It's just very business like, and it's weird in a good way, but it's just odd.
It's weird.
It's odd. It's
aura, as the kids say.
Right, exactly. Before I do want to get back to what we were talking about before with the break, but before we get to that, I kind of want to touch on, since we talked about playoffs, just kind of touch on the playoffs a little bit and not to get too far ahead because we still, of course, do have the rest of the regular season to play. But the night before we're recording this, the playoff 8 teams for the playoffs is set. I'm just going to read them off here as of what is today, Wednesday, August 26th. I had to look because it could be Saturday and I don't really know. But
I'm right there with you, man.
um, so as we sit right now, we have the Lynx at 1, Golden State at 2, Las Vegas at 3, Atlanta 4, Indiana 5, New York 6, Washington 7, and Dallas 8. That is the 8-team playoff field. The seedings will change. It's basically a crapshoot between like 3 and 8 right now. So the teams will shift around a little bit, but yeah, any surprises from you that of the teams that we see in the playoff field, or maybe that didn't make the playoffs?
First, again, I just want to hammer this home. The gap between the 1 and 2 seed is 4 games.
Yeah,
The gap between the 2 and 8 seed is 4 games.
yeah,
Like it's wild.
it's impressive.
I mean, I think the path, if this is how it finishes for the Lynx, this is probably the best path for them. I mean,
Yeah,
I think you'd like to have Aces, Valkyries, Mystics, and Liberty on the other side of the bracket,
yeah,
because those are the 3 kind of physically big punishing teams. Aces, I don't think are as physically big without Alyssa Smith, but still like a really, really good team. And you want those 4 to kind of wear themselves out over on the other side. And I think if that's the reality, where the Lynx go in and it's first round, they're playing Dallas without AZ Fudd, seems like that team is going through some, I don't know how to
yeah,
say it without being rude about it, but like, from Alana Smith and Paige all the way down the bench and the coach, it seems like vibes are not great
no,
in Dallas. I think that's probably the team you want to face in a 3-game series, is the one that's maybe falling apart a little bit.
mm-hmm.
And then if you get the winner of Atlanta and Indiana, I think the Lynx probably really like their odds against them. I mean,
Yeah,
Indiana sure is a couple points better on offensive rating, but defensively, the Lynx and Indiana are completely different teams.
mm-hmm.
And Atlanta, I mean, I don't know how much we're going to learn from Sunday when half of the roster is in Belgium, but that's a team I think the Lynx would not mind facing. Sure, they, between Hillman, Angel Reese, the size that they have, the wing defenders they have, could certainly cause the Lynx some problems. But a 5-game series, I would be pretty stunned if the Lynx lose that,
Mm-hmm.
barring injury. I guess like the team that's just a bummer is, I'd say 2. Alyssa Thomas not being in the playoffs is
Yeah,
weird. Like, that just sucks
mm-hmm.
from a basketball product standpoint. That's weird and it sucks. It also sucks that Seattle is just terrible.
I know.
Like, it would be, I didn't think they'd be like playoff worthy, but like, man, they just get blown out most nights. They're 1-9 in their last 10. Like,
Yeah,
it's not even fun to watch them on League Pass, which that also sucks. Like, as somebody that was very high on Awa before the draft, it's not even worth watching that
mm-hmm.
team because they're not competitive,
Yeah,
which, yeah, where are you sitting
yeah.
at though?
No, I agree with you. I do think probably the best, and now you're take this with a grain of salt because there is no easy opponent in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that, but I think Dallas is probably the team you want to play if you're Minnesota in the first round.
Yeah.
I do agree with you though that I think this is kind of the best case scenario when it comes to the bracket layout. Just also not necessarily looking at the Lynx side, but even on the other side, you look at the matchups as we're sitting right now: Golden State versus Washington, Las Vegas versus New York. That Las Vegas New York matchup is going to be a tight matchup, just
Yep.
knowing those two teams. So you're going to wear those two teams are going to be worn out. You look at the Washington Golden State. I mean, that's Washington is just so physical. They
Yep.
wear you down so much. Golden State's the exact same way, just with how they play defensively. I mean that's going to be a grueling series too. I don't think Golden State would lose that, but that's going to be a dogfight as well. So I mean, just from a health and just a rest standpoint too, I think that this is an ideal situation for Minnesota. The team I do not want to play in the first round if I'm the Lynx is Washington. I do
Yeah.
not want to play Washington if need be, because they the Mystics. I mean, Olivia Miles said this after the last game against the Mystics, that they are just such a physical team, and that over the course of a series just absolutely wears you down. And that is not a great first round matchup, because then it just sets the stage for the rest of the postseason. So I do not want to play Washington if I'm the Lynx. I think really anybody else you'll take at this point, knowing that obviously Golden State, Las Vegas, they're not dropping. Well, not going to drop far at least, but um, I do.
Liberty would be a downer.
Yeah, I agree.
Like
I
I'm not as concerned about them. Like Britt Robson was on my live stream today. Shout out Hitting the Hardwood and also Britt Robson. And he had brought up the Liberty as being kind of his, I don't want to face them. And I agree with him. Like John Kell is just kind of a problem all the time. Stewie's a problem. Fevich, Sabrina, like they have the star power and the players that, like, if Stewie scored 50 points, you're probably just losing that game.
right.
But like, is Stewie really going to be able to play like small forward against the Lynx? Like, I think she gets played off out of that position and they end up having to like make really tough, especially in a 3-game series, because like you don't have time to wait around. And if
Mhm.
it's Stewie just getting put in ISOs on Olivia Miles, like
Yeah.
I you have to change things. Like
Yeah.
I think the Liberty have so many problems with depth that they just don't have enough like switches to flip to kind of mix it up. Whereas Washington, they have enough depth to where if something isn't working, if Kiki gets played off the floor somehow because she's just getting put in space, like they have the ability to just go small and still be a pain.
Mm-hmm.
That's honestly kind of how I feel about the Aces too. Like,
Yeah.
I really don't know what. Yeah, I was talking to who was on the podcast? Someone was on the podcast. Maybe it wasn't even a podcast, but we were speculating of like who the Aces would start now that Nalissa Smith looks injured. And it's like, do they just go 4 guards in Asia and just like hope? That probably doesn't match up well against the Lynx. But if
Right.
they decide to put just random backup center or sign Bonner and put her in there, like that also
Mm-hmm.
doesn't match up well against the Lynx. So
Right.
yeah, I do agree with you. I think Washington's the one I would sit there and be like, "Ooh, that would suck."
Yeah, I think that you'll take either, if like I said, if the seeds or if the seeding plays out as it is right now, I think you take either Atlanta or Indiana in the second round, like you said. I do think that Indiana is gonna it's gonna all catch up to them here soon. That being just everything that's off the
Karma
court
or
and
fatigue?
just, well, maybe a little both, but I just think just the everything that is just weighing on the team, or kind of not weighing on the team, but hovering over the team, I guess. That happening over the course of 3, 4 weeks, like that weighs on you. And it might be a blessing in disguise from their standpoint that there is a World Cup break coming up,
Mhm.
because it kind of gives 2 weeks for people to just kind of, move on for a little bit. But I don't know. It's just there's too much going on there, I think, for them to really make a deep playoff run. And who knows, maybe they'll surprise us. But
Do you
Atlanta.
think there's going to be I'm hijacking your show. I
No,
apologize.
you're good.
Do you think there's going to be tanking, like seeding tanking tomfoolery? Cuz the 8 seed, I don't think anyone wants. I think that
No,
sucks.
yeah,
But if you're in the 5-6 range, I think you'd want Golden State. Like, I think you'd want Golden State
hmm,
over a road playoff against the Fever or a road playoff against Atlanta.
yeah,
I just I wonder if this is going to be really the first year where you're seeing, maybe Indiana falters after the FIBA
hmm,
break in those last 2 games against the Lynx. It's like if they lose both of them, they play Golden State instead of Las Vegas.
right,
I
right.
just wonder if it's going to be weird this year.
It definitely could be, because we haven't really seen a year like this where I don't want to say that it's the seeding was decided, or the team playoff field was decided early, because it's not really
Mhm.
early. Like there's only a handful of games left, but it's a month before the end of the regular season.
Right.
So like teams have a lot of time to prepare for the team that they could potentially be, facing off against. And we could definitely see that if, teams are watching over the World Cup, they're putting in their time and they're watching film, watching tape. Maybe they're like, okay, we do definitely want to see this team in the first round. We could definitely see that because normally in a typical normal year, we see, seeding coming down to the last game or two,
Yeah.
where teams are they can't rest their players. They can't pick where they're going to go. They're just trying to make the playoffs. And this year is different. So we could definitely see that. And everything's so tight too that you're gonna see a lot of interesting decisions, I think, made. When we do get back from the break, maybe not before the break, but out of the break, and also considering where players are too in their health, their rest. Teams that are heavy with players playing in the World Cup, maybe I don't know. It'll be an interesting kind of curveball or twist that goes into the regular season, and we're almost to the playoffs. It's just a weird time for everything, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see the chess match of the playoffs and how that seeding ends up shaking out. Because like you said, it's between 2 and 8, 4 games.
Yeah.
Like it's insane. I usually we do see like maybe 3 to 6. It's kind of close, and then you get like 7, 8 are kind of interchangeable.
It's usually like a 9 seed still battling too,
Yeah,
where it's
yeah,
like there's some risk that you'd fall out. Right now, the like risk is you're going to be playing on the road in Minneapolis in a
right.
3-game series. Like that sucks.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
I it's I'm pretty pumped for when basketball comes back because most teams are going to be playing 4 games in 8 nights
Hmm.
in this kind of sprint to the playoffs when FIBA comes to a close. And again, it's just like Dallas is going to want to try and get out of that 8 seed spot as
Right.
hard as they can.
Yeah.
And then the teams that are maybe a game or two ahead of Dallas, are they sitting there like, I don't really want to go to Indiana, but like
Hmm.
Golden State, they can't score as much. Or if you're the 6 seed, like
Right.
I wouldn't want to play the Aces in the first round. That sounds terrible.
No, yeah. No, I agree. It will really be interesting to see what happens out of the break. And just for people that are wondering, if you don't know already, that when the break is, starts August 31st and it runs through September 16th. Then the WNBA season will resume after that, basically play for another week and a half ish, and then
Mhm.
the playoffs will be here. But I do think that, specifically talking about Minnesota too, when it comes to the break, I think that this time will be good, question mark, with for a few different reasons. I think with Nafisa Collier playing, I think it's good because she will get to be able to knock some of that. I don't want to say there's a lot of rust, but just kind of get back into the groove of things a little bit more,
Mhm.
get back into a regular groove, and just have another 2 weeks of doing that. I think that's going to be huge for her, and to get back into ramping up to postseason shape and just kind of getting her game back to where we know it to be. She's on her way, and she's already improved quite a bit since she's got back, but um, that takes time. So that I think that the World Cup period, I think that will be huge for her. On the flip side of it, the players that are staying home, that rest is going to be so important. I look at Kayla McBride, I look at Courtney Williams. Courtney Williams obviously dealing with an ankle injury. Natasha Howard, they're all in their 30s. I mean, it's they're we always joke about Kayla McBride and her being 34 years old, and I don't know if she can do this at the level that she's doing it. She continues to do so, but she needs some time and some rest, and I think that's going to be huge. So I don't know. Do you kind of agree that you think that it's a good time and maybe kind of good for both reasons when it comes to the Lynx over the next 2 weeks?
Absolutely. Like even the players down the roster, right? Like
Yeah.
Alishka's go play big minutes for Czechia.
Hmm.
Tony is be the starting 2 guard for Belgium, I would assume. I mean, that's what she's been doing for the last decade. Chloe's going to be probably not the starting power forward for Australia, maybe, but like big minutes for Australia.
Hmm.
Dorka is going to be the best player on Hungary. Like, I think it's just an opportunity for all of these like 7 to 13 players to just get like really, really good reps of important basketball, get their confidence back, get like game shape ready in case something weird happens in the playoffs, which for them, the ramp up is awesome. And then again, you look at like Nia Coffey, I think is held together with duct tape at this point. Maya Caldwell, I think could use a break. Court, Mac, Tosh, you mentioned, like they're all, I mean, they're in their 30s. Like that's tough playing 35 minutes a night every night for the entire season. Live, I mean, Gophers are going to be starting their fall camp in about 2.5 weeks here or so. Liv hasn't had a month off of basketball in almost a year.
Yeah.
Like she needs to just sleep. Like go back to the East Coast for a week and just like sleep 17 hours a day. And then the players that are staying, again, outside of rest, Cheryl's going to give them 7-10 days off, she said. And then she's going to have them report back here and they're going to work on fundamentals and a lot of these things to clean up, which, I mean, you know how it is when there's 14 gals out there on the court and you're running against the practice guys, like you switch who's running what actions and you rotate players in and out. For Liv to just get like 10 straight days of working on her defensive positioning.
Yeah.
Like that's invaluable. And especially 10 straight days after having a week and a half off.
Right.
I think this could be one of the most beneficial things for the Lynx, like out of any of the teams. I mean, obviously, like if Nalissa Smith, I don't think it formally came out what her knee injury is, but like if she's able to make it back somehow or people getting healthy, but like, I don't know, just knowing how Cheryl runs this, knowing what they're probably going to focus on when they get the 8 players back that are staying, I think it's going to be invaluable, especially 4 games in 8 nights, and then you're in the playoffs. Like, it's Lynx are in good position. I do think, you know, you look at some of these other teams that have a ton of players going overseas, like the Valkyries, or even like Atlanta having 2 starters on Team USA. I think that could be tougher, but I think the Lynx are set pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I hope you can actually get some sleep and get on a regular sleep rotation here over the next 3 weeks. And but no, I before we do jump off, before we end this, I want to open it up, as you always graciously do for me. Open it up to you to where people can find your work, where people can follow you, all of the things that Andrew Dukowitz is working on nowadays.
Oh God. I mean, it's pretty easy. I'm lucky enough to have the same handle on every social media, ADukMN. Do a ton of podcasts for your lovely network, Hitting the Hardwood. Occasionally write for Hitting the Hardwood. I think I guaranteed I would do every other week, and it's been almost every other month. So occasionally I have written work for your fine website, but multiple podcasts for Missing Lynx, Missing Wolves. We do live streams after every game, usually a bonus episode every week. Try to get like Sloan or Britt or someone from the Lynx community, or like someone that, you know, I had Tim Miller on last week, like someone that's WNBA curious and just talking hoops. Written work for the most part is at Sports Illustrated right now. For Timberwolves content, zone coverage still is where I put out most of my Lynx stuff. But dude, this was fun. We got to do this more often. I feel like we got to get you into like every other week pod rotation.
I know.
My
side. Back when I first started this, it was every week, and that was, at the time, it was a lot. And it just kind of slowly over time, I usually in the off season I did monthly, and it just it got into that routine. But I'm hoping here over the next couple weeks, have a few more guests coming on, and at least leading up to the playoffs, and then maybe you, me, and Terry Horseman, if he can find the time in his schedule to fit us in, can. No, I'm just joking, Terry.
You're so neglected by Terry. I sit next to. I joke with like a lot of people on the beat of like, I probably see you more some weeks than I see my wife.
Yeah.
And it's like Terry literally, like Travis Singleton's one of those guys that like when the Lynx and Wolves season overlap, I see him probably 5 days a week.
Yeah.
It's just like, man, I should probably go home.
Oh God. Well, you're doing great stuff. For anybody that's wants to follow Andrew who is not following Andrew, you should be doing so. ADukeMN I almost said .com. ADukeMN anywhere.
Wouldn't that be sick? I should
You should.
see if
Hey,
a GoDaddy has that open.
hell yeah, hell
People
yeah.
still use GoDaddy?
I don't even know. I know a guy if you need help purchasing the websites. But well, cool. Well, thank you, Andrew. Appreciate it. And we'll have to do it again soon.
100%, man.
Thank you once again to Andrew for joining the podcast. He is awesome to talk to. Every time that I join his podcast, he joins my podcast. We end up talking about just about everything, and it feels like we talked about nothing. So that's a good thing. So Andrew, I appreciate you joining. As I mentioned, I respect the heck out of all that you do, the hustle and the grind that you put in. And I'm glad it's starting to pay off for you in the form of the recognition and just the opportunities that are coming about. Greatly deserved. So happy to have you on the Hitting the Hardwood team, and our Hitting the Hardwood network of podcasts. But as we talked about at the end of the podcast, if you're not following Andrew, you need to be doing so. ADukeMN anywhere you social media, any platform, you can find Andrew and his great work that he does. Speaking of the great things that are taking place, that was a terrible transition. I apologize. I want to give a thank you to our partners here at Hitting the Hardwood, that being our two presenting partners, Pentz Homes and Firehawk Construction and Remodeling. If you go to our partners page, hittingthehardwood.com/partners, you can find all the information with Nate Pentz and the Pentz Homes team, Isaac and the Firehawk Construction and Remodeling team. You should go support them. If you are looking to buy or sell a home, Pentz Homes is your go-to destination. If you're looking for any building and remodeling needs, Isaac and the Firehawk Construction and Remodeling team should be your first call. You can find all of their information. You can get to their websites, their contact information by visiting our partners page on our website. That is hittingthehardwood.com/partners. If you or someone you know are interested in partnering with Hitting the Hardwood, we have our partner or our sponsorships package and page on our website, on that same page, the partners page. You can check that out. If there's something in there that you don't see that you want to explore, reach out to us. You can reach out to me on social media. You can email me, or you can email us at hittingthehardwood@gmail.com. Happy to chat about it and see what we can do to continue to grow this thing. So I want to also just thank you guys. I had a post on social media the night before recording this podcast, just talking about our patrons and the response that we've seen from our Patreon community, the GoFundMe donations, just your guys' readership, listenership. I don't know if listenership's a word, but you reading and listening to our podcast and our content on our website. All of the support that you guys have shown has been absolutely mind-blowing. And it's given me the chills just talking about it, because it's more than I ever thought it would be. And that's a huge thanks. And we owe it all to you guys. So we couldn't do this without you guys. I started a podcast, this very podcast, 3-4 years ago, with the hopes of just reaching more people and just providing more content and more coverage. And it's blown into what it is today. What's never changed is we think you deserve the content that we are trying to provide you with. You are the reason that we do all of this, and we couldn't do it without you. So for a very, very heartfelt thank you to all of you for your support. And if you can't support that's okay. I'm not asking for your support, and as far as the monetary value, I know things are tight, things are hard for a lot of people. But those of you who have, thank you very much. Very gracious for you guys, and you allow us to continue to do what we do. And man, do we love doing what we do. So thank you all for supporting. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for reading. Thank you all for following along. I will have a couple podcasts here before the end of the regular season. And then we'll jump right into the postseason and get into all things postseason basketball, the best time of the year. So thank you all again. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you guys next time.
3, 2,